Welcome back to your favorite podcast, Pixel Buzz, where we talk about
nerd culture,
tech news,
and everything in between
with a little bit of a buzz. We are your host, who is Zane. Go ahead and find me on Twitter, Instagram, and my webpage.
I'm Schematis. You can find me at the same Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud.
Good.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Go ahead and look us up. Today, we're going to talk about something that I saw abroad. And you saw how many times?
I saw it 2 times, all right? Like, I saw it one in Times Square and one on 34th Street.
It's a good movie. Which is
Parasite. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Now,
good stuff. It's there's a lot of layers.
Yeah.
It's almost like an onion, and it's good because onions smell, and so do the people in the movie.
Oh my goodness, you're ridiculous. Yeah, but you know what? There's so many layers. Like it was just like ridiculous. I don't normally see movies twice. Once you pay for them in theaters, I'm done until it comes out on DVD or Blu-ray or something. But I had to go see it again.
Yeah, it was really good. I personally only saw it once. Okay. I do want to rewatch it. I'm gonna wait till it comes out, so I can own the media.
I respect it. Yes,
but again, it does have a lot of layers, so it is a movie that you want to go back and watch multiple times.
120%.
Yeah. So where do we start?
I want to just talk about it. Like literally, I don't even think it's gonna be like a general. Number one, if you haven't seen it, this is gonna contain a lot of spoilers. Correct. I think you might want to be cautious of that, but I just want to talk about it. Like, I don't even think this has to be like an informal kind of, just launch it. Like, where do you want to start? Like,
so let's talk about main characters, right?
Okay. So we got Kevin, right?
Kevin. His sister, Jessica. Father,
Mr. Kim. I forget some of these names, you know.
And the mom,
Chinsuk. Yeah.
Sure. You're better at pronouncing it than I am. So, yeah. So those are the 4. I could say maybe the main family, I would say.
Protagonists, if you could say protagonists in this scenario. I don't even know.
Sure.
But they're the main characters, right?
Yeah,
they're the players of the show.
They're the ones running the whole story.
Correct. So, like, you've got, like, a really interesting story of, like, this kind of rags to riches kind of thing, but done in a really off-centered kind of way. Like, a very questionable way in terms of morality. But when you think about, like, Kevin as a main character, like, what do you think about him?
So, Kevin is... What are we going to say? Maybe 23?
I think so. Something like
23.
That. Young guy.
Yeah. Mid-20s, maybe. Early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
It's not working. He's not in school.
Yeah.
He did finish school, according to his friend, right?
Min. So the thing that I loved about Min is, like, he was, like, super educated, right?
Yes.
Like, really out there. And so he was giving credit to Kevin for being so articulate But you see in the movie that he has no money, so you're like wondering, like, well, how is this possible? How can someone be so smart but not be in that position that he was in?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It is, and you could tell later on why that is. Yeah. His work ethic is that if he wants something, he gets it.
Correct.
But it's most of the time, like, fake.
Yes.
Right? He falsifies documents. He doesn't really know... He knows English, but he's not like an English professor like his friend.
But no. Honestly, his English was really, really good. To the point where it was like almost equivalent or even better.
Interesting.
So it was like, that's why I was like wondering, like, this guy, he's not stupid.
No, not at all.
Not at all, right? So like now you're like, okay, well, if he knows all of this, like, what makes him make these questionable choices to kind of, you know, take this sideways route, you know?
So actually... So with that point, right, we'll end it off for a little bit right there for him.
Okay.
Let's talk about Jessica.
I like Jessica, even though, I like Jessica.
I mean, she's also smart, right?
Yeah.
You find out that the first thing that she's doing is basically making false documents for Kevin.
For Kevin, yeah.
And it's not like cheap documents. Like, she's apparently in the movie really good at making false documents.
Graphic design or like, you know, and so the question is, if she applied that same tactic to like something else, something more honorable, right? What would it have been?
Yeah. And you could tell she's like smoking and she's just like internet cafe type thing and almost like if it was like a hacker type of scene.
Right. Like a mad scientist in the lab. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I like this character. But then, of course, down the line in the movie, things happen, right? So what do you think? Like, I just think that she's also very, very articulate, very smart in what she does, has a really specific skill set that could, you know, translate to success. But for some reason, like, this family just seems to be cursed for not success, right?
Which leads right into Mr. Kim.
Okay.
Mr. Kim, you could tell Well, you caught this actually earlier when he was folding boxes.
Yes, the pizza boxes in the beginning.
Right? So
Yes.
out of what? So there are about, I don't remember how many number.
It was a lot.
boxes.
They were making a lot, and it was they were looking for Wi-Fi in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And they were looking for Wi-Fi because they were looking for
A
the
delivery
order.
date
Yeah,
for
like-
the boxes.
So when it comes in, they're like, "Oh, we need to make 50 or 100 boxes." I forget the number, but he was like knocking them out like a robot, like almost like a machine, automatic. He's just flipping them, and then they give it to the the CEO of this pizza place, whatever. And she's like, "Look, only 1/4 of these are good."
Correct.
So the rest of the family was like not doing well at all.
Now, mind you, while they were folding the boxes, there was a fumigation, kind of like an exterminator came by and started fumigating the neighborhood because of rodent issues and parasites.
Parasites,
And
right?
so the father took it upon himself to get free.
Leave the
cleaning.
window open.
Yeah.
Leave the window open.
He told his family, leave the window open because they're gonna get free fumigation. While the windows are open, he's not even like, he's fighting the cough, but he's still folding boxes.
Like,
still folding boxes
in the midst of the smoke and everything.
in the zone on that. And then you find out that once they deliver all the boxes to this, they're like a pizza place. Once they deliver the boxes to the pizza people, the lady's like, it's only 1/4 out of all these boxes that are fine, and it's him.
And he's the one that's doing all of it.
Yeah, so if he sets his mind to it, just like his son and his daughter, it can happen.
Anything can happen. And so this is like that trend. Like, this is the trend of the whole thing. Like, you get a sense of this family, like, wait, everyone's doing something and they're really good at it, but why is it like, why are they not winning? Like, why are they not winning at life? And even the mom was like an accomplished athlete.
Yeah.
There was like photos of her, like,
Originally.
right? And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is going to be an interesting movie. So like, we have this class struggle, right? That's
Correct.
where this all starts off. Like, I don't even know how to begin this.
Before we get to the class, right? So, the Kim's family is lower class. It's not even mid class. It's like lower class. But thanks to Kevin's friend, he gets this opportunity to be an English teacher. And his friend, before he leaves, because his friend's leaving to
He's like going abroad. Yeah, fancy.
And so he brings him a rock.
A rock.
A prosperity rock.
This is gonna give you
good luck.
Good luck.
And it's not any type of good luck.
Right.
It's financial.
Material wealth, he said.
Material
wealth. And I was like, interesting. Like, why is this big, clunky rock?
Yeah.
That's gonna do anything.
And that kind of starts off the whole story, right?
Crazy.
Because from there, he gets to meet Park's family.
The Park family. So
which we introduce now.
Oh my gosh. So I don't even know how to get into that, right? So he met Mrs. Park first.
Yes.
And there was a scene where the housekeeper at the time, Moon Guang, was kind of like tapping at the table for her to get up.
Correct.
And even Min was always saying that she was a simple woman. She's simple. So she kind of had this interesting character from the beginning, right?
You just have to kind of please her, right? Or she's easy to please.
Easy to please. Like, doesn't think about much, very just like straight, forward and everything. But she just seemed aloof to me. Like, just like, huh.
She just followed what she was told.
Correct. And I mean, her character was a little bit interesting in the movie because she never really had much of a personality, I don't feel like. It was just kind of, she was there,
I think it's more of her reacting. It was just, she reacted to things.
To things that were happening.
Yeah, it's not like she made things happen. She reacted.
She just reacted. Interesting. And so we have so that's one, Mrs. Park. You have Mr. Park,
Correct.
businessman, kind of like, type A personality kind of guy.
Alpha.
I get alpha. Right?
Or at least that's the portrayal of it,
right?
Has like a Mercedes, a personal Mercedes.
Personal driver.
He has a driver for his personal Mercedes. I think that's the brand of the car.
I don't remember.
But it's like a luxury car.
I'm not a car guy, but yeah, I'm gonna trust you on that.
It's a luxury car.
It's a luxury car.
So he has a chauffeur for his luxury car, which he owns, and he's barely home. If he's home, it's like at night.
Right.
And he expects, food on the table.
Traditional kind of like,
Correct.
And then he's got the son, Song Park, and he's kind of like this kind of they even mentioned in the movie he's got like a fanaticism or like a what do you call
fantastic mindset.
Not fantastic. No, they kind of make him seem like a genius, number one.
Yes.
And then it's like he has like an Indian kind of, what's the word, like not appropriation but
fanaticism.
Yeah,
Google. Is that a word?
I don't even know.
Let us know.
But you know what's crazy? It's like, you know, he seemed like a nice, you know, normal, healthy growing boy. But I think his role was
spoiled. I think spoiled, wanting attention. Hence why he draws these crazy artwork pieces and
to draw attention.
Yeah, he just wants attention.
But did he want attention, or was he just being a kid? Now we have to think about that too, right? Because his sister assumed that he wanted the attention.
Right.
Who was, you know, I think Dahaye? I can't pronounce it. Dahaye. But she was really one of those, like, again, questionable characters that we want to get into here, right? So, man, listen, the movie was crazy.
Very crazy.
Where do we start? Because there were like many shots, many scenes that I just want to talk about, man.
So now we have a division, right, between the families.
Yes.
Kim and Parks. So now we know that Kim's family, lower class, literally lives below Kim. Like, they're like in a lower level. They have to walk down.
Correct.
To get home. The Parks live on a higher elevated level.
Yes.
So already
that sets the tone.
Yes.
For the shift.
Separation of hierarchies of personalities already.
Right.
But then we start figuring out all these personalities, how much the lower class, the Kim's family, is just a go-getter.
Yeah.
They want something and they get it.
And they go.
They're like secure. And so Kevin introduces his sister as a art teacher.
That's how it started spiraling out of control. Because when Kevin first got the job, I think everyone was in agreement. You know, it's super cool when you get a recommendation and it works.
Correct.
So he's happy. He's in a good mood. He's like, you know what? If I can get a chance to put my next family member on, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And he did.
He did.
And I respect it. So he gets his sister in. Jessica comes in. And even though she's not an art teacher, right, you know.
Apparently she has some sort of skills that allow her to control this kid. Like, she's like, no, leave him in the room with me for an hour or something.
Right, no parents allowed.
No parents allowed. He kicks the mom out and the
housekeeper?
The housekeeper as well.
Yep, get out.
So they both leave. And then an hour after, she comes back with like an art piece and he's like sitting in place, very well behaved.
That was a good scene.
Yeah.
He bows at the end.
Yeah.
And just like walks off. Like super stoic, super professional.
Educated.
I'm like, how'd this happen?
Yeah.
In an hour.
Over an hour. So she has some sort of crazy skills. Like she is skilled.
Right. But we don't know in what. Maybe
Not yet.
It could be manipulation. It could be just like, you never know. It could be teaching. She could be very, what's the word? Empathetic or.
Maybe a little foreshadowing here from Calvert.
Maybe a little bit.
Then we get introduced to the chauffeur.
Okay.
From the family. But the Kim's family isn't done.
That's right. So this is where the whole controversy comes in. This is where the movie really just booms.
Yes.
So you get two family members who are struggling into a nice, wealthy family who's like paying them well.
They didn't have to do anything necessarily illegal, let's say, or nothing too harsh to get in.
No. Everything was very seamless. Moral compass is in the right direction.
Correct. And
now they have the park have this driver, Yoon. And so Jessica like sets him up to seem like as if he was having an affair in the car. Right? And like I'm thinking to myself, this is where I'm like laughing during the scene. I'm like, is she really doing this? But it was like the weighty feel was not as much because the music was really playful.
Yeah. So
right?
Personally, I thought that she was making it seem like he was a pervert.
That too.
But then later on we find that it was more that the bigger issue was that there was an affair or that he was having some sort of sexual relationship
in the car,
which is not his.
Right.
It's Mr. Parks.
Which is grounds for getting terminated.
Correct.
Which ended up happening. And so he's, fired. And so now it's like, okay, so now we're forcing people to lose their jobs in order to get my family members in.
Yeah, so escalating.
So she gets her dad as the personal chauffeur as a recommendation, right?
Yep.
I know a guy who knows a guy, right? You're going to want him. And so now this is where people are like, wait a minute. Right?
This is becoming a little too manipulative.
Yeah.
Someone lost their job and he seemed fine. He was a professional, good chauffeur, the original chauffeur. And now you see Mr. Kim go in and you're like, he's not
at all.
Nothing like that. So why would he even...
Bro, the scene where he's like driving him and he's got his hand on the wheel.
One-handed.
And he's like turning around to talk to, Mr. Park. He keeps talking. I'm like, he's like, watch the road. That was like...
Very, very unprofessional.
Completely.
Which he later, of course, corrects.
Mm-hmm.
But throughout the movie, you're seeing how they are completely unprofessional people.
Yes.
Then get forced into this professional environment.
Yeah.
And seeing how they have to completely change.
Oh man, that just kind of throws me into this one scene in the end of the movie.
We will get to that.
Come on. All right, fine.
Then we go to the mom.
Okay.
This is where it completely goes from 50, 80 to 100.
Straight to 100. Immediately. So the housekeeper, Moon Guang, has an allergic reaction to peaches. They find it out and they set it up to where she gets kicked out for, like, I forget what the disease.
So they accuse her of having some sort of disease that is, like, contagious.
Right. Well, they just kind of purposefully took shavings from a peach.
Correct.
And just sprinkled them on her.
Yeah, originally it was very little.
Yes.
And then what
do you think?
House cleaner.
Moon
Guang, that's her name.
The original housekeeper.
Correct, housekeeper. Mm-hmm. So Moon Guang kind of worked her way back. She was like, no, I'm fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, and then they kind of escalated really quick.
They did it again.
But this time it was a lot.
Yeah, and then they did the with the hot sauce little trick to make it look like blood.
So like, almost as if she coughed blood into a handkerchief.
Again, it's like comical. It's like comical how drastic this is going. But when we weren't thinking about it that much, I don't think at the time. But then it's like, wait a minute, this had a really crazy repercussions.
Yeah, like they could have killed her. They could have.
Right?
Literally killed her. So you already seen the escalation.
Correct.
At one point, the Park family is like, you know what? We're going to go on a camping trip.
Yeah.
At this point, everyone in the family, the Kim's family is already in the house. Mm-hmm. They're like, they've made themselves part of the house, so they have access to it.
Absolutely.
They're going to celebrate.
Oh, man.
They stay the night because that night, it's supposed to be where the Parks leave for their camping trip. Mm-hmm. They're leaving for a trip. They leave for the camping trip. So they have the whole house for themselves.
Absolutely. What happens? What do you expect, right?
What else would you do, right? You have a mansion to yourself.
They break the drinks out. They get the food out.
They're having booze, eat their food.
Now, this is one of my favorite parts of the movie, right? Because I know they're having a good old time, but I think the wife, Chun Suk, says something to Mr. Kim, right? And it throws him way off into a rage. And they play it off as if it was a joke. And it's basically her saying, like, you know, look at you, like, you can't even take care of your family, like, right, kind of a thing, like a joke, like you're mooching on someone else's success.
Yeah,
it hit him. That hit him hard, and I know it did.
It did.
He swipes the glasses on the floor and grabs her up, and then starts like joking around, like, no.
He plays it off.
He was hurt, and I think that this is where this whole symbolism of this cockroach parasite thing starts coming into play, right? Because they make homes in other people's homes.
Yeah,
they literally have nothing of their own. They have to live off of someone, off of something. And so they're literally in someone else's house and having no kind of sense of, like, shame. You know?
Yeah. It becomes even more realistic once you're aware that the Park family is now returning. And now they have drinks on the floor. They have food all over the place.
They're pushing it under the couch, trying to hide everything.
They only have about 5 minutes left, right? Because they're that close to the house.
Correct.
That they need to kind of clean everything up. Right now, only the mom should be home.
Right.
No one else should be there. Oh, sorry. Well, Kim's family.
Yeah, correct.
His mom should be home.
Right.
No one else
should have been there.
So what do they do as roaches do?
Hide.
They hide under furniture.
Under furniture. Bro, that was nuts.
It was crazy. It just becomes like now not a metaphor, but a realistic thing. Now you guys are physically parasites.
You're physically parasites.
Now you're in their house feeding off them.
Yes, correct.
And they turn on the light. This is something that you brought up. And it's almost like they scattered.
They scattered. They completely scattered. Oh my gosh, man. So when they came home, right? When the Parks came home, this is like a crazy one. Because we always imagine like people who are wealthy, who have this money, have a great life, everything is happy. But that kind of romance scene threw me off. I'm like, wait a minute, these guys, this is a completely toxic marriage.
Yeah.
Right? The husband had like trouble like being like physically stimulated by his wife. So he needed some kind of, what's the word? Like a deviant sexual act in order to get him motivated.
Going.
Yes, going, ladies and gentlemen.
So this happened while they were hiding under the furniture.
Yeah.
The Park family had a intimate moment in the couch while watching their son outside of their house, kind of in like a tent.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. It was more like of I don't want to call it BDSM because
no, not quite.
It was like he needed that in order to get
like a
some
dark
sort of attraction,
fetish, like almost like he wasn't attracted to his wife as is.
No,
right.
She needed to be something else or no one basically,
or no one.
Because he wasn't even looking at her, right?
Yeah,
but
yes, correct.
From there,
it's wild.
So from there, they make their escape.
Yes,
right? They start trying to get out.
Mm-hmm. Inching out under the couch as they fell asleep.
Inch by inch.
Yeah, like crawling.
Dragging themselves at one point out of the furniture that they're hiding under. And they make it out.
Yeah.
Skip some stuff. They make it out.
And it's pouring at this time, right?
It is pouring.
This actually is one of my favorite scenes, right?
Yes.
So once they're running out and there's just like a really quick shot of their feet touching on a grate as they're leaving the house property. Mm-hmm. And the water's like pouring into the grate. And I didn't think anything of it the first time I watched the movie, but the second time it meant a big deal to me. I'm like, this is showing that the Park family has nothing to worry about. Everything is fine.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so they get back home, right? Eventually.
Kim's family.
Yes. And then everything is flooded. Everything is flooded. And I remember, like, this is, like, huge, right? He's like, oh, well, did you forget to close the window? But I'm thinking to myself, even if you closed the window, it would have still been flooded.
Yeah, it was almost like waist deep flooding in there. Because, again, they live in the lower part of the neighborhood area. So, and their house was also, like, a basement apartment. So even then, it's like further below ground.
Correct.
So they were definitely flooded.
Yeah,
and then you brought up a part where you saw
which one?
Jessica smoke.
Oh, the reason why you know what, that actually is my top scene. Out of all the scenes that I love, that shot was just like too much because she only smoked twice in the movie. The first time was when everything was on an up, when she was forging the documents for Kevin.
Yep.
And she was like kind of in her mode, and she's happy, she's doing her thing. And the second time was her last cigarette, which she grabbed because you could tell in the pack it was the last one she had, and she was done. This is when she was physically on her face. She was nothing left, and she's like, you know what? I'm done.
To paint a picture for those who are listening who haven't seen it as well.
Correct.
And for those who are watching as well. She's basically sitting on top of her toilet seat because the toilet seat is basically erupting
with sewage.
The waste.
Sewage water just flying everywhere.
It's flooding. And it's flooding basically from the parks, right? So they're like, it's making its way down.
Like maybe waist deep? I mean, like, they're like at least waist deep and just sewage water.
Yeah, sewage water.
So at first she's trying to like fight it and like help it, and then she just like gets to this moment where she's like, you know what? There's nothing I can do that can change my situation. I'm gonna smoke and just sit.
So she sits on top of the toilet.
Man, that scene, Bong Joon for that scene, just hats off for him. That was great, man. Yeah.
So then it kind of gets a little sour from there for the Kim's family because they notice that even after feeding off the parks, right? Yeah. Even after having all this money coming in, they still are less. They're still less.
They still are less. And it's crazy because this thing about smell where Desong's son was like, hey, you notice all the Kims smell alike? And so the family comes back home and thinks about that. They're like, oh, wait, we all smell alike. We got to switch soap.
Yeah. They basically all had to use different detergents for their clothes.
But the thing is, what did Jessica say? It's not the soap that we use. It's where we live.
Yeah.
That was like crazy, man.
Yep.
And this whole thing about where we live, who they are, it's just like the class struggle that was in this movie was just amazing, man.
It is. It's again, it has a lot of layers.
A lot of layers.
Color is also included a lot in this.
Good call.
There's a couple of stuff, but let's say, how about this? Okay. We can go further into the movie. We haven't even touched, I think, like the last third of the movie.
No, there's just so much I want to talk about, man.
But our Sony only has about 30 minutes, and we're reaching that time.
That's true.
If you guys want us to talk more about this movie, if you guys want a part 2, let us know.
Let us know.
For you who are listening and viewers as well, let us know in the comments down below. Nice. Do you want to hear part 2 to this?
There's just so much I want to talk about. Ooh, I love this movie, man.
We'll probably make a podcast no matter what. But
probably.
Let us know if you guys love this down in the comments below.
Yeah,
and that is it. We're going to call it a night for tonight.
Sounds good. You know what?
See you later.